Yo, what's up, losers? Slimofy here, biggest loser of all time. Anyway, I've been playing Project Ascension, as you can see, the new one, and I'm level 32 Runemaster, and I want to share because people have been struggling with how this class works, and I want to show you guys how it actually plays. And this one is focused on Engravement. The other two, the caster and the two-handed one, I don't really know, haven't checked them out, so gotta check out someone else, but we're gonna focus here on Engravement. So the idea is pretty simple. You have all these weapon engravings that you put on your one-handers, and depending on which one you put on, it will deal a different kind of damage. So, for example, on your main hand, I would encourage you to put fire on, basically all the time. And on the second one, it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to do AoE damage, you're gonna put the Earth enchantment on the second one, because there's a 15% chance that you will deal AoE damage, and it's uncapped. It will deal to anyone, so pretty damn good in a dungeon. If you're going for single target or PvP, I would highly recommend putting Ice on your second weapon, because Ice, as you can see here, 40% chance to apply 65 damage. In comparison, the Fire one only has 30%, and the damage is pretty much the same. Now, early on, when you don't have Ice, you could do a trick, and I'm pretty sure it's a bug, where you can put fire on both enchantments. So how this works is, if you have here a fire engraving on the first weapon and you want to put it on the second, you cannot click here this button. It will not allow you to put fire on the second weapon. So what you can do is you can put the first weapon in your bag, then you apply the fire engraving, and then you're gonna equip the weapon again, and now you have fire engraving on both weapons. That's pretty good at the beginning. What other spells do we have? We have Rune Blade. I'm gonna put it here into 2. And the other one is Primordial Blast. And so, when we look at our talents, what we're first gonna go for is obviously this point in here. And then the other two ones are you wanna put here and here. So this talent here is pretty important. So how it works is, basically, you spend your Rune Blade, and when those go to 0, those charges, and you're gonna hit Primordial Blast, you'll see this counter will go back to 3. So not only does it reduce the cooldown, but it also replenishes our Rune Blade charges. So basically, at the very beginning, when you level your character, you're just gonna be spending 1 and 2. Back and forth. You see 1, 2, spend your 2 charges, and then press 1. Runemaster is pretty close to a normal rogue, so they're kinda overlapping when it comes to the skills. Like there's stealth, there's stun, there's this one called phase out, it's basically a vanish. Then we have warding rune, that's like a cloak of shadows. So pretty similar to a rogue, but without the annoyance of having to manage combo points or energy regeneration. Instead, we have something called mana, believe it or not. And there are these stances that you have down here. They're called Runic Tattoos. And basically, they all have different effects. But for leveling, the only thing that really matters to us is this one right here, Runic Tattoos Water. Because it'll give us mana regeneration. So we never run out of mana. So we can keep spamming those buttons, those 1s and 2s. They cost a lot of mana. So believe me, you basically want to be 99% of the time, you want to be in water. That's why we're going to grab this talent right here too. While Runic Tattoos Water is active, 200% more mana regeneration. That is incredible. You will never run out of mana, believe me. And another one I would get early on is down here, Runic Tattoos. Because sometimes, even with the mana regeneration, pretty damn good, if you run a dungeon, you might run out of mana without this talent over here, I've noticed. So I highly recommend picking this one up as well, for leveling especially. So you're absolutely never gonna run out of mana. Okay, so you're leveling. What was the best thing in my experience that you should grab talent-wise? You should definitely go down here to this Zenith here. To this talent point here. So your Zenith is increased by 6. So what is Zenith? This is basically your cooldown. So what does it do? Zenith, 45-second cooldown, so pretty much you have it always ready. And what it does is, it gives your weapon engravings, these ones up here, 100% chance of triggering. So basically, your fire engraving is gonna be applied. Your AoE damage is gonna be constantly triggered, and if you go for single target and you put ice on your offhand will also always be triggered. This is super strong, and so we're gonna increase this from a 6 second up to a 12 with this talent point here, so that's very important. And so over here, I'll recommend going down here to the left. Funny enough, you can only put one talent point in here and then you can skip over it. I don't know if that's intended or not, but you can do that. And just fill out the left and the right side like this. This spell here in the middle is something that is not that important right now. I feel like it's more clunky than useful because most of the time we're just spending 1 and 2, Runeblade and Primordial Blast. So this one feels a little clunky. I know that here with level 30, this spell will get another passive function, but it just doesn't feel as good to press, I would say. It's a little weird. And if you really want to go down with Fist of the Ancients, and maybe it will be meta, I'm not sure, but you'll have to go down this path here, so yeah. So this basically here is what my talent build looks like right now. And the reason for this is because it's a huge amount of AoE damage, and it's a pretty good burst window too. So we're playing around Runic Brand, which is available every 12 seconds. And so what it does basically is, since there's no cleave dummies for me on my level, I'm gonna just showcase you here. So when you apply this brand, this Runic Brand, it'll put those 3 stacks on it called Runic Brand. And every time when you spend Runeblade on it, it will take a stack and deal a lot of AoE damage. So as you can see here, marked Runic Brand. So it will deal 98 damage to nearby enemies, and it's uncapped, so it'll hit everything. So together with your Earthen enchantment and those marks, you'll deal a lot of AoE damage. What I came up with is, since it lines up pretty well, I've just put Zenith and Runic Brand, those together in a macro, because Zenith is off global cooldown. So if I press this macro here, if I press it here, you see it'll apply Zenith and Runic Brand. You know, it's just set and forget. For leveling, you don't really need to min-max it that hard, so I would just make this macro, and so it's one less button that you have to worry about. So on the class tree, after picking up Zenith, 6 seconds extension over here, I would go down this path here with the Warpdagger. What it says right here, when you're stealthed and you use a Warpdagger, your magic damage is increased by 10%. Super good. Even though Warpdagger is kind of a shitty ability, I would highly encourage you to try to reach this one down here, where outside of the Zenith, so when you don't have that 100% weapon engraving trigger chance, down here you get another 5% on all your weapon engravings, because remember, your weapon engravings, that's basically where your damage is coming from right now. So I would get Vanish here, which is called Phase Out. I would go down here. This is another defense ability. And then you can grab this one down here. And this is right now what I'm using. I'm level 32 again. And let me show you how a typical opener looks like for me. So I have Rune Shroud typically on 3. Okay, and now when we're in Rune Shroud, which is just stealth, there are basically, we only need these 3 buttons. So this one enhances our next damage ability by 80% for 6 seconds. And this one is a stun. So we only really use this one when we're either playing PvP or we're gonna fight a boss. Because a lot of bosses, while you're leveling, you can stun. So enhancing, pressing our blast, and then immediately pressing our macro to apply Runic Brand. And going to Zenith, and then just keep spamming Runeblade, and then refresh it with Primordial Blast. It's pretty simple. That's all what we're doing. And once we have Runic Brand back up, we're gonna press it again. We're gonna get those 3 stacks again, and every time we cast Runeblade, we're gonna burst them open. Huge amounts of AoE damage. That's pretty much it. So there's one more macro I want to show you guys before we're gonna call it a day. This one right here. It's basically you're shooting out a Warpdagger, and then it'll cast Primordial Blast. And this one I'm only using in stealth, because remember, when we cast Warpdagger, it'll give us a 10% magic damage buff. So I'm just gonna press 3. If there's a boss or if I'm fighting a player, I'm gonna press 2, so it will stun him. And when I'm starting spamming 1, it gives me that 10% magic buff, and I don't need to press it by myself. And I mean, that's pretty much it for all the way up to level 32. Like, there's not much more to it. The other buttons are like, this one over here is an interrupt. It's a ranged interrupt, but you have to cast it. I know it's a little weird. I also need to get used to it. And then there's, from the mage spell steal, you can steal 2 beneficial magic effects. It's also a cast. You do have a buff here. This one you should keep up all the time. Also buff your allies too. You give them a 10% stat buff. Pretty good. And with the engravings, well, you either go fire and earth in a dungeon and just forget about it. Or you can go fire and ice when you fight a boss, or PvP. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's not too complicated, the class right now. It might get more difficult as you progress through it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the playstyle changes. That's it for now. Hope you have fun leveling. It's a pretty strong class right now. I think I've never seen any class dealing more DPS than Runemaster right now. And enjoy. Oh yeah, one last thing before you go. Stat priority. Go agility. Agility. You don't need spell power or anything. Nothing like that. Because right here, level 20, you get this passive here. Spell damage by 25% increase of your attack power. So yeah, go attack power. Strength. Strength. Agility. Mostly agility though, right? And when it comes to weapons, try to go for something that's super fast. Because the faster the weapon, the more chances you have to proc your weapon engravings. That's it. See ya.